See It Played video. The game is the Marshals, Volume 1, Junot and Soult in Portugal. The scenario is Junot 1808. Still in the first turn, 16th of August. It is the French side option for an operation. So we are in Phase C, Operations Phase. And again, one more time, this is I'm playing against myself, and I'm trying to play as real as possible each side. And apart from keeping all of the fog of war options that are included in the game, playing with all of the fog of war options included in the game, and keeping the off-map order of battle displays covered between play sessions. Most importantly, I'm leaving at least a day, if not several days between plays. So I think it's been 2 days since I played the Anglo-Allies. Now I'm sitting down here to play the French. So what I will be doing is I will be starting cold as far as having played the French like 5 or 6 days ago. So after a 5 or 6 day break from playing the French, I will be starting cold to reassess the situation, the operational situation, and figure out what the French should do, and play this this segment of the operations phase. First, I'll take a look at the array of forces in the theater, starting with the enemy. So obviously I see the Anglo-Allied forces here, obviously on fog of war side, but I see that the entire land force has consolidated here, which is interesting because this area, move the forces there, so this area well, it only has 3 connections, and apart from the lateral connections, the third one goes essentially back. So in other words, this is not a direct route south for the enemy, so to speak. In other words, it doesn't go straight down towards Lisbon. They're one march from this force that is still able to be activated. 3 marches to this force that's already been activated this turn. Okay, the British fleet is still in Peniche. There are 4 ports that they can work with. Peniche, Vimero, this unnamed one on the coast here, and then this one south of Sintra. Basically, to help the British, you know what? From the French perspective, playing the French right now, let's review what the Anglo-Allied armies need to do to actually win. Yeah, okay, this is review. So it's per scenario. So there aren't game specific victory conditions. Okay. So for scenario 8.1, which is what we're playing, in Portugal 1808, both players. So this is for both players at the end of the game. So this is winning by victory points, except there is that early end of the Berard event. But anyways, barring play of the Berard event, we go to the end, which is, was that 8 turns to the 23rd of August, and then the winner is by victory points. Okay. All right. So each player gets, each player looks for control of Lisbon is 6 VP. We occupy Lisbon right now. That's worth 6 VPs, which you could say is worth 3 enemy infantry units. That's a lot. That seems like a lot. Yeah, that does seem like a lot. So, trying to think. I can't look at, or I'm not going to allow myself to look at the, but we still have access to this. Both players have access to the setup. All right, so I guess I can figure out. So the Anglo allies have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A 6 or 7. Something isn't right here. All right. First and second, third and fourth, fifth and sixth, and Trant. That's 4 infantry units are definitely in play. That's 4. Delabord, oh, never mind. That's the French side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, I thought there was a Portuguese infantry. Huh. Oh, Trant is the Portuguese infantry. Okay. So there's only 4 infantry units on the Anglo-Allied side. Well, that's what I'm counting anyways. So there's only 4. So if the French were to eliminate all 4 of them, that's 8 VP, but lose Lisbon, which I guess is technically possible. Well, actually, we would win, but the chances of eliminating all 4 is unrealistic. Yeah, control of Lisbon is essential. Okay, and again, if Lisbon is free of French units, the town is automatically controlled by the Anglo-Allies. If the two opposing stacks occupy the zone, no point is attributed. Oh, okay. So we don't even want to leave Lisbon. First is we control it. Second is we're at least disputing it. And last would be to not be there at all and give 6 VPs to the Anglo-Allies. Okay. 2 for elimination of enemy baggage, but that's not very realistic either. Commanders, and at some point, but not now, I got to review what this, for each event marker the opponent has put back in the container. That's 2 VP. So I'm taking that to mean that if once during the game the Anglo-Allies put an event marker back into the pool, I get, as the French side, I get 2 VP. Which, by the way, that would have to be recorded. That could be recorded on the general markers track here. Okay. So that's what I was afraid of. I can't lose Lisbon. But if I hold Lisbon and beat the Anglo-Allies in a few battles, that's good. However, there is that last condition for the Anglo-Allies only, for each complete turn without combat, 1 VP. So that means there are only 8 turns in the whole campaign. Only 8 turns. So if I were to, let's say, only do battle in, let's say, half of the turns, I gave the Anglo-Allies 4 victory points. That is devastating. Again, that seems like if the Anglo-Allies are able to somehow stay together at the right times as a massed force, then I'm either forced to attack to not lose the VPs for the combat condition, but then attacking. I mean, it's almost like, how can I attack to not lose the VP for the turn without losing forces? Which is interesting. And I'm not sure that that's, and I'm not suggesting that that's like ahistorical or anything. That's actually a fascinating operational dilemma in this case, which is, very interesting. Anyways, okay, so back to what I was saying. I need to keep Lisbon. Okay, so for the Anglo allies to have a good chance of marching down, advancing south, and threatening, if not taking, Lisbon, you would think that they would need to shift their fleet basically close behind them, because their line of communications is traced to the port where the British fleet is located. For the French side, we trace line of communications to Lisbon. So I don't have any answers at this point. It's still very early in the campaign, but I was trying to assess the possibility of cutting off the Anglo-Allied army. And I mean, it could be done, especially on these, or in these areas like this one, and this one, and this one, where they only have 2 connections. But in no way am I convinced at this point that these are like, again, World War II armies that can be cut off and they wither away. Now I'm thinking maybe, as the French, I want to continually try to cut off the Anglo allies to maybe slow them. Now I'm wondering whether, looking now, playing the French side, whether it's really likely to out and out defeat the Anglo allies in a large field battle. I don't know, maybe. We'll see later if that opportunity presents itself. Otherwise, what are the prospects for the French to slow the Anglo allies so much that the Anglo allies don't take Lisbon? That I don't know. These are questions at this point. So now let's look at our forces. We'll look at what's on the map first. So, I'll go from south to north. At Lisbon, okay, Junot is still in Lisbon with his force, so I haven't moved him. What do I do with Junot's? Oh no, I just realized I need to make sure that they stay on the activated or available or already activated side. Okay, I do need to make sure I do that. So flipping over is not going to be willy-nilly here. Okay, but he must not have been activated, I'm assuming at this point. Okay, this stack has activated. So it has activated, so maybe I'll leave them inverted. Oh, so we got a decoy. Oh, another decoy. And Loison cavalry. Okay. Now I remember what he was up to. Okay, now I remember. He was activated, though. A small cavalry force heading west through the Serra de Montejunto Mountains. Over here, inland, we have still available artillery, dragoons, okay, and Loison infantry, so a all arms force there. Small, but all arms. And then here in Rolica, still available, we have, okay, chasseurs, artillery, okay, and Delabord. So another small all-arms force. Okay, so I'll get to Junot later. Up here in the north, all right, he's done. Right now, this force really isn't doing anything over here. These are roads, so this is just going to be one movement point. Yes. 1, 2, 3 movement points to Obidos. But why? To cut line of communications to the Anglo-Allied army. Either occupy Peniche, occupy these two. Oh, but even if I occupy those two, I'd still have to stay there. So, no, sorry. Yeah, I can cut the line of communications with those two, or with this one and this one. Yeah, this one and this one. Yeah. But so far I have not been paying attention to the difference between, not been paying enough attention to the difference between these roads versus trails. It actually is a huge difference. 1 movement point for the roads, 2 for the trails, because the artillery, for example, only has a movement allowance of 4. There only has a movement allowance of 4, so it's only going on, it's only making 2 marches across the trails. With this scale of areas and connections, 2 versus 4 is huge. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. And again, especially this early, I mean, why work so hard to cut the line of communications for the Anglo-Allied army this far north? Maybe get into a better position here, maybe? Oh, that's probably what I should do. Now that the Anglo-Allied army has basically outmaneuvered this force, he is not really doing anything. Even if he marches up to Peniche, it's almost like, oh yeah, it's almost like, so what? Because the English fleet, by the way, well, let me double check that. Yeah, the English fleet here has no influence on movement or combat. So in other words, the French can freely move through there. They don't engage in combat and they can't be eliminated. So even if this force were to do a nice dramatic march and even occupy Peniche itself, the Anglo-Allies would just move the fleet down, which would instantly reestablish lines of communication there. So in other words, short of occupying all the ports, which doesn't seem very, very efficient at all, if lines of communication are going to be cut, it's going to be done on land. And really, I'm starting to think that cutting this lines of communication is a temporary thing to achieve a temporary effect or objective. Okay. So I think this force has been outmaneuvered. So it could, so now how do we maximize the use of these forces? Now, again, this is road, so 1, 2 to Torres Vedras, and then 3, 4 to Vimero with this force. And then if Junot were to march up to Torres Vedras, that would obviously be a line that the Anglo-Allies would have to would have to address. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm thinking that's what I'm going to have to do. Then again, there is the idea of, is a solid line really necessary? Or if I can occupy Vimero and leave Torres Vedras open, why wouldn't the Anglo-Allies just maneuver right through there? And again, move their fleet down. So, well, I'll experiment with the solid line first, assuming it's going to be risky trying to get this force to Vimero, and well, this is risky to get there without taking some major fatigue and losses. It's less risky to get up here to Torres Vedras because he will have himself and the baggage trains with him. But before I do this, I want to review. I know Junot has a large force, so I want to review what he has, though. All right, so I'm over here on the off-map display area. These are the 8 available French event markers. All of the 1808 events are turned face down. So just to review, like this one, this event marker, identified with the E in the lower right, has 1808 in the top right, telling you that it's an 1808 event marker. The one on the back side is the 1809 event marker, which we don't use in this game. So I have all the 1808 event markers face down as the draw pool. I'm uncovering my order of battle area. All right, so Loison. Okay, so first we have the, I can leave this face up. Yeah, we have the Kellermann event chit available for us to play right there, which is why I pulled this unit out, because this is Kellermann available. Don't need him. I don't think he's going to be needed right now. They're available. Loison has where was he? It's funny that I lost. Oh, okay, yeah. The force that's already gone, the force that's already activated, that's the commander, not commander-in-chief, but commander Loison. Okay, he has the dragoons. That's what that is. All right. Well, it's good that I'm forgetting this stuff, because that's kind of the point of this. All right. So he has the dragoons. That's what it is. I guess I can leave them all face up because I'm covering them now between plays. All right. So this is what Junot has. He has 2 garrison units. They have to stay put in Lisbon. Then he has, he has foot artillery, horse artillery, which, by the way, is only 1 faster. Foot artillery has a movement allowance of 4, the horse artillery at 5. Baggage trains, and this must be 2 infantry infantry and dragoons. Okay. So he could leave just the garrison in Lisbon and take the whole army, the whole rest of the army north. Wait a minute, I'm not doing this all in one operation anyway, so I can see how the first force from Rolica does. See how far they get to Vimero. Because if anything, the dragoons could be sent to Vimero. Wait a minute, the infantry has movement allowance of 9 too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah. Actually, Junot could split if necessary. But I first want to know whether the Rolitsa force can get to Vimero. All right. All right. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll do that first for this operation. All right. So the decision is to march this force along the road 1, 2 to Torres Vedras, and then along the trail to Vimero for four movement points. You know, I just realized at this scale, you could probably, I'm going to double check this right now. I think you could march through an enemy occupied area. I think it's just some extra costs and penalties associated with it, but I don't think that there are any. I don't remember right now any like zones of control, cease movement when entering an enemy occupied zone. I think you just are going to pay some extra penalties to march through, but at this scale, I think that you can do that. But I'll double check that, and then we'll make the march this way since we don't need to go through there. I don't think you would march through unless you had to. Oh, okay. Since I brought it up, not true. You can't just march through an enemy-occupied area paying some extra costs. If you enter an enemy-occupied area, you have to stop unless you, I guess, choose to execute a forced passage, which is going to be a combat. But then if things go your way, you can continue moving afterwards. Forced passage, so you can't just pass through the area. So these areas are blocking in the sense that it either stops movement or forces combat. Okay. All right, but we're going to march through here this time. So I think, well, let's review the operations procedure. Okay, first step is I'm activating this stack for movement, and the first thing I have to do is verify command. So I rolled a 6-sided die. I got a 3. This is the command test. I'm going to add the strategic value for any subordinate commanders. Again, we have no commanders. We have this the chasseurs, artillery, and infantry. So nothing there. We're still at 3. Add 1 if the stack contains only cavalry units. No, we have artillery and infantry. Add 1 if it's possible to go from the commander-in-chief to the stack by crossing connections free of enemy units and crossable by a cavalry unit. Basically, yes. He has a straight shot track by road as well, all the way down to Junot. Yes, commander-in-chief, Junot. So I'm adding 1 for that. So it has that. Well, I guess it's a line of communications, basically. So it's 4. So 4. Then we have a table. Ooh, total of 5 or more, all movement points. Total of 3 or 4, half the movement points. Ooh, half the movement points. So that right there tells us that we're only getting to Torres Vedras, not to Vimero. So that changes everything, in a sense. I really wanted to take Vimero, but I may not have Junot push up there, or maybe I send a cavalry. I don't know. Now that I can't get to Vimero with this force, now I'm wondering how important Vimero is. But anyways. So the stack is going to march that first route, the first road to there. So I randomly drew a fatigue 1 chit from the pool. Remember, this is kind of a push your luck mechanic. So they're going to try. Oh, actually, there are modifiers to this. There are modifiers to how many fatigue chits you pull. So +1 marker for each connection for a stack more than 10 strength steps. We definitely don't have that, but, well, well, let's go through it. Chasseurs is a cavalry unit. It's automatically 1 step. The artillery is automatically 1 step. And Delabord, let's see how many steps he has, although I doubt that we qualify for this penalty. So on the order of battle chart, for this scenario, Junot 1808, French forces, we have Delabord, and he has 4 strength steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, current morale of 4. Okay, that's significant, by the way, because if we exceed this number, I think, 4, with fatigue, we're going to take a step loss. And we can't afford to do that at this point. Okay, so no penalty for size of the force. +1 marker for each has combated marker on the stack. Don't have that. +1 fatigue marker if the stack enters a zone occupied by an enemy stack. Haven't done that. +1 marker for each connection. Okay, this is the line of communications one. +1 marker for each connection if the stack does not have a clear route from the connection where it is located to one of its lines of communication. Okay, so that's back to Lisbon, no problem. Okay, so there are no extra, we're not taking extra fatigue markers, we're just taking 1 for each connection. So we're at fatigue 1. Now we're going to go to Torres Vedras. We've now hit our adjusted movement allowance anyway. There we go. We drew it to fatigue 1. That's good. Now what that means is we're done. The accumulated fatigue did not exceed. Yeah, exceeds the morale of any of the infantry units. It does not. So these basically are going to go away because we're ending the march. We're also ending the march because we ran out of movement points. You know, I think the chasseurs could actually, and the infantry could move on. Huh. You know, the chasseurs and the infantry could move on. Oh, wait, let me make sure this is even right. Yeah, chasseurs could because they have a movement allowance of 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And the infantry would have 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so the infantry and artillery, or infantry and cavalry could actually move on to Vimero. Let's do that, because that was the original intention anyways. So I'm going to drop the artillery off in Torres Vedras. I'm going to invert, well, I'll go in step here in order. They're going to leave them there, the artillery there. All right, so actually I need to make sure that I pull back the right, because this is a fixed pool. So I actually have to make sure I get those back and double check that I can. I think I can drop. I'm dropping off the artillery. Yeah, you can't pick up, but you can drop off. So, but these guys still have the accumulated 2 fatigue. So, they're going to move to Vimero, and I need to reshuffle my fatigue markers. And this was almost classic. I drew a fatigue 3 marker. This is exactly the push your luck aspect I mentioned before. That's like an accumulated fatigue of 5. They cannot put any back. They cannot put this 3 back because they don't have a commander. Let's see if it's commander-in-chief. Commander. No, it's a commander. Yeah, and they don't have baggage with them. So basically they're stuck with 5 fatigue. 5 fatigue exceeds Delabord's current morale of 4. So not only is he done moving, of course he's also done moving because he's used up his movement allowance, but now he's going to take a step loss. So on his track here, strength track Delabord, I'm eliminating his first step. So he's down to a 3-step unit, still morale of 4, but 3 steps. So right there, that kind of shows you that you can take losses just by basically marching around a lot, although that was a pretty unlucky draw of the fatigue 3. Well, it just shows you that it can happen, and how likely it is. Here's the fatigue marker pool face down, where you draw randomly. And the other thing I realized with this mechanic of drawing from a fixed pool like this is that not only is it a push your luck simply because you're drawing, it's not only is it a push your luck just because you're drawing a random 0 to 3 fatigue, but it's also a push your luck because the farther you go without getting, say, a 2 or a 3, the more likely it is you're going to get a 2 or 3. It's pretty interesting. Very interesting, actually. So, ouch. So now they're done. Cost, well, I gotta shuffle those back in there for future use. Now everything is done. Now I'm flipping them back over. So I'm flipping them back over to their fog of war side and inverting them because they have activated. And that is the operation for the French. I can't think of anything else to do. I'm going to invert Junot down here in Lisbon. He's still available. I'm going to cover up the French order of battle display on the side here. And that is the French operation for, or this operation for 16 August.